Okay, all right, so let's go. And also, you can ask me questions. You can ask me questions. You know, that's the science of asking questions, the source of all knowledge. So don't hesitate to ask questions. You're not clear, I'll be looking at the chat section for any question. So anytime you feel you have a question, just pop it up there. I will stop and answer your question. So before we start, some of us are probably running our first line of code and definitely running into errors. Not even beginners alone, professionals, even inventors run into errors most times. So it's not a new thing, and errors make you strong as a programmer. So, and one thing about Python, because that's our focus language for today, a Python error will always give you the reason why the error is showing. So just take a look at the error message, then we're good to go. So don't be scared. Don't be scared of error message. It's very, very normal for a developer. Bugs are very, very normal for us as developers. Okay, so the language Python. Python is one of the most popular language on earth, and it was started by Guido van Rossum as a hobby. You know, Python, the reason for creating Python is to make it easy to understand. I think that was the major aim of creating Python for people to understand and for easy accessibility. So anyone can just pick up Python code, and even if you don't have any idea of programming, you get to know, okay, this is what this code is doing, this is what this one is doing, because it's very, very similar to the English language. And there are so many benefits of Python. It's multi-purpose. Python, as of today, is being applied in several areas: web development, mostly backend with Django and Flask. Then we have machine learning, we have data science, we have several applications of Python that you can't even imagine. So it's a very, very, very versatile language. And another great thing is open source. Anyone can access the code base of Python, anyone can contribute to it. So I guess that's why it's very popular. So this is a chart from a recent study. The most wanted top programming languages. We have Python, of course, not a surprise. We have JavaScript, we have the Go language, we have TypeScript, we have Rust, we have Kotlin, we have Java, we have C++, SQL, and C#. This is just an opinion of somebody. So I know some people, probably some Java developers want to have my neck on this. There are some results you see like this, some statistics you see like this, and Java is probably at the second or third, but here on this one is very, very below. So, but the idea is to let you know that Python is very, very wanted and it's very, very popular across the globe. Okay, so Python today, develop a large and active scientific computing and data analysis community. You know, anytime you hear the word machine learning, the first thing you think about is Python. Anyway, you hear data science, the first thing you think about is Python. Anything that has to do with data, Python. So one of the most important languages for data science, machine learning, general software development. And we have packages of Python, we have NumPy, we have Pandas, we have so many packages of Python that useful in different aspects of our endeavors as humans. So time to go to code. So we're going to go straight to code now. I mentioned in the event details that we needed some things to get started. I don't know if you get that ready. So, but don't worry if you don't have any of those things installed, because I'm going to show you how you can write the Python code even without those items. So we have Okay, so we have I'm going to show you different ways you can code your Python. Okay, so for those of you that already have your system already on, you can you have your VS Code installed, you can launch your VS Code. I already have your Python 3 installed. You can launch all that. I don't think it's necessary for me to start sending links to do that now, since it will even take more time to install. So, but don't worry, I have a link for you if you don't have those things installed. You can actually code your Python online without any installation. So I'm going to send a link to Colab products collab that you can use to, I'm going to drop it in the message box. So just check the chat section, you're going to see a link. So if you don't have anything installed, that the VS Code, or I'm going to be using the VS Code. So if you don't have VS Code installed, you don't have your Python 3 installed, you can use community. Okay, sorry, I'm sending the wrong link. I'm sending the link to join the call. So let me have the correct link about that. Okay. Sorry, that's the right link, collab.research.google.com. So it's going to help you code your Python. So I'm going to show you how to go about it before we start. So just for those who will be coding online, will be launching their Python code online. So I'm going to show you how to use the Collab. So once you launch, let me switch. Okay. Once you launch, the first thing that welcomes you is the where you can click on start a new notebook. So click on new notebook and you'll be taken to this page. So once you're on this page, so this is Colab. I've sent the link on this and just click and so I'm going to show you how to use this Colab before we get started. So once you've clicked new notebook, we can now start writing our Python code. So we'll get back to this when I start explaining. So I'm just going to use this to explain some concept of programming before I start to use my VS Code. All right, so first of all, we're going to introduce some basic concept. We're going to talk about variables. We're going to talk about types. Because of the limited time, I'm thinking I'm going to have this session, part two, another time, so we can have more deeper dive into Python programming. So, but today we're going to be looking at variables, types. Then we'll be using our ideas we've gotten today to build a project. So we're going to build a project today, and the project we're building will be the one to pick up our winner for the coupon, get print coupon. So it's going to be fun. The program we'll be writing today in Python will help us select our winner for today, right? So that I can't wait for that. So the first thing we're going to, of course, talk about in every programming language, the first thing you see. Okay, just I want to make sure you're still seeing my screen before I continue. So just drop a yes on the chat. You can still see my screen. Okay, nice. Okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to start with the basic programming concept. And of course, we're going to print hello world. So in Python, you can print hello world. I just write in this code. Okay, some of you are not using Colab and you're using your VS Code. I'm coming back to that. So, but this is just to explain the basic concept. So in Colab, how do you launch your code? Because if I press enter, it's just going to give me another line. So how do you launch your code? You hold down your shift key and you press enter. So once you hold down your shift key before pressing enter, you're telling it that okay, you want to run this code. So you can see we have hello world as the result of our code. So I'm going to go go directly to and using VS Code. So this is just a sample for those using Colab, so you can follow up. So even if you're using your phone, there's an app on the phone called Pydroid 3 for Android phones. You can code along also. I just want to make sure everybody's following. So we're going to go use our we're going to use our VS Code now. So let's go to VS Code. So if you have all installed, then to get going, I'm going to share my screen again. VS Code. Okay, my VS Code screen is up. So I'm going to zoom in a little for you to see it better. Okay, I think this should be big enough. All right, so what we're going to do here, I just open my VS Code and I launch. This is going to launch as a new document. As of this stage, there is no extension for this document. It's just a text by default. When you launch a new, okay, this is how you launch a new file in VS Code. You go to File and you click on New, or you use Control N. So if you're using Microsoft Word, I think that should not be a new thing for you. So you click on, when you go to File, you click on New, Control N, or you click on the new file. Then you have what you have here, a plain document, a text document. So for you to save in a Python file, you need to Control S, which is save, or you go back to the file, then you go to save. All right. So now, some of you probably don't have VS Code, or it's the same thing for any kind of editor. The same process. It might be a little bit different, but still the same process. You control N, then you save. So that's for the same thing for every editor, for every editor. So we're gonna go right away to Control S. We're gonna save it anywhere you feel you can see it. So we'll make sure you have it saved as .py. I'm going to save this as hello.py. So the major thing is for you to have .py as an extension. That's what it's going to tell your VS Code that you are trying to you are trying to write a Python code. Because we have other extension .html, .css, .js, .go, whatever language you're writing depends on. It's gonna have determine our extension. So we've gotten our .py. So we're going to run the same code we ran. Print print hello world. Print hello world. Okay, so if you're using VS Code for the first time, you need to install some extensions, Python extension. So your Python extension helps your code to run better, your Python code to run better. So I'm sure when you launch a VS Code, it's already asking you, if you've not installed the extension before, that asks you to install the extension right away. So for you to run this code now, you can just right click, then you go to run Python file in terminal. Run Python file in terminal. So you can do that and you have your results. Hello world. So if you've done this, then you have just written your first line of Python code and you've executed your first line of Python code. So let's move on from here. So we're going into defining some variables, some types of Python. So in Python, we have variables, and variable can be defined as okay. Variables can be defined as containers, okay, that you can assign something to. So look at C variable as a container you can put stuff into. For example, you go to your store, and you have several boxes. You have a box for socks, you have a box for clothes, you have a box for shoes. So those boxes are known as the variables because you're going to be assigning something, you're going to be putting something inside of it. So if you're holding a socks, you go to the place where you have socks labeled, put it in variables. So they're like a container that you store your code in. So we're going to define a variable. We're going to define a variable and see how that works right away. So, but before we go into that, I'm going to introduce us to what we know as comments. So when you're writing Python, you can give comments. Comments are very important because if you access your code, probably in a very long time from now, you're able to understand. So it's not just for somebody else to understand, but for you yourself as a developer to understand. So how do you write a comment in Python? Use a pound sign. This is a comment. What this actually means is that the line comment is not going to execute in your code. So you can use it to describe your code, every steps you take. It helps for better collaboration. It helps for people to understand your code better. So I'm going to move right from this because we have so many things to do. So this is a comment. This is how you write comments. So just in case you're not seeing it very well, let me zoom in. This is how you write the comment in Python using the hash. So we can also write multiple lines of comments. All you just need to do is have the hash starting it. So we can also have so many lines of comments without having to without having to use a new line, another hash. You can have something like this, having three quotes. You can surround your comment in three quotes, and it will not be displayed. I can have this I can have this here and to not be displayed. So let's move forward. So I'm just going to change this print. I'm just going to change it to a comment. So this is just basic Python. I believe most of us here we've already have some basic experience on Python. So I just want to explain so that every one of us will be following as we go on. So because we're going to be moving into more stuffs that are more complicated. All right, so now let's look at Python and the basic things we could use Python to do. The first thing, okay, we could actually do with Python, we can use it to calculate. So we can say, okay, let's define a variable. I say variable is a container. We can say x equals to 5, and we say y equals 6. Already, when people see x, people see y in Python, they already have the mindset that Python is just mathematics. No. X is as much as a variable as any other word you can think of. So I can decide to use number as my variable. This is just a name. So we can now say if x is equals to 5, y is equals to 5, we can say print, all right, we can say, okay, results, I say results is equals to x times y. So this will give us, we've assigned x, y, 5 to x, 6 to y, and we assigned the result of the multiplication of x and y, we've assigned it to result. So when we print result, we're going to have, of course, we're going to have the multiplication of x by y. So let's run this in our script, in our terminal. Okay. So if you look at our terminal, we have 30. We have 30 as our result. Okay. So we can change this. So what we just used here is what we know as the int. So numbers are referred to as integers, which short form for int. Short form is int. So we have other types. We have string. We have other types of variable. Other types. We have string. We have int. We have boolean. We have several types of. We have several types. So now this is a string, and we can actually check everything we can do with a string. We can check all the directives of commands we can use with a string by using dir. Use dir. So for example, x is a string. We can check every command we can use. X is an integer. We can see every command that can be used with x using the dir. So if I say dir, then x, and I run it. Let me change the display of the screen. So we have our collab back on the screen. So I want direct results. So if you have equals to x equals to 5, x equals to 6, sorry, y equals to 6, and print dir of x and use. So we can see from the results, we have different things we could use with our dir, with our ints. So for ints, we could use the command add, we could use bool, we could use class, we could use several of these for our integers. So if let's check let's assign this hello world. Let's check for strings. So we're going to check all the directory of what the commands that can be used with string. So let's say we have hw equals to hello world, and we want to check every command we can use. Check every command we can use with hello world, and say dir hw. It's going to print everything we can use with a string. All the every command we can use with a string. So for string, we can use count, we can use so many things, we can use format. So I'm going to build a basic calculator with Python. We're going to build a basic calculator with Python using this knowledge of variable assigning. So in Python, we can access input from users. So I've given you two types here. These ints, and we have the string. We also have Boolean, which has two values. So I'm just going to type it here. We have Boolean. We have Boolean. We have string. Those are the types. We have int, integer. We have floats. Those are the types of those are the types we have in Python. So whenever you see any of those, you know what to do. So let's have some basic arithmetic operations in Python. And let's say we have four, so it mustn't be, let's say we have 400 times 400 times 600. When we run the code, we're going to have the results immediately. So let me check. If you have any questions, just let me know. Okay, seeing a question from Laura. Said when you try to launch with VS Code, you're not seeing an option for, okay. If you're using a VS Code, if it's a latest VS Code, there is a play button at the top that you can use in as much as you're having a Python file, .py file. There's a play, but there's a play on top of your VS Code that you can just click and run right away. So, but even if you don't want to use the play, there's also a run run Python in run Python file in terminal. Just right click on any part of the code. You see run Python in terminal. So if you don't see run Python in terminal, there are several things that could be wrong. Check your terminal and see and make sure the interpreter is selected as Python. And also make sure you have .py, a Python file. Another thing, also make sure you've installed the Python extension for VS Code. So those could be your challenge. Okay, we've seen it. That's great. All right, so let's continue. We were looking at some basic arithmetic with Python. So the reason why I'm using Colab is okay, so everybody can follow, because I want to run my code and see the results. So that's why I'm using Colab. So if you are using your terminal, if you're using your VS Code, if you're using the Python ID, still the same thing, you get the same result. If you have any challenge following, just let me know. I would go back. So so we're going to have some basic arithmetic with Python. Let's have another one. Let's say 5,500 times divided by, this is a sign of a division, divided by 100. We're going to have our results, 5.0. Then also we also have what we call modulo. The difference between modulo and division and the normal division is modulo returns the remainder of your division. So if I say 10 modulo, and the sign of a modulo, of course, is the percentage. 10 modulo 3 you run the code, you're going to have 1 because 10 divided by 3 is 3 remainder 1. So that's modulo. So if you're using your terminal, your Colab, everything is still the same result. So if you have challenges doing that, as I said before, just let me know. I'll get back to you. So currently I'm using the Colab. So we're also going to this that's for modulo. So let's try another modulo. We can have 34 modulo plus 3. Remember, if you want to run in your Colab, use the shift and enter so it will run the code. So it's giving us 1 also. So anything is only outputting the remainder of your division. So that's the difference between the the normal division and the modulo. So we also have raised to the power. I can say 3 raised to the power is double asterisk 3 power 4. That's so this what this actually means is 3 raised to power 4. So we can have so many arithmetic operation with Python. We can use it to create functions. We can use it to create formulas. For example, okay, let me just do a basic. I want to do a basic calculation for, let's say, the area of let's say a rectangle. Okay, I don't know much mathematics, but the area of rectangle is length times breadth times height. So if we have that, let's first thing we need to do is define our variable. We have length, we have breadth, we have height. So we can define our variables. So the length equals to, let's say, 5. Height, height equals to, let's say, 10. Then um say breadth, or let me just use the letters instead of us writing long variables. So we have L, H, and B. Results, let's define our results. Let's say our result is equal to L times H times B. That's our results. So that's a print. Let's give our result, let's give it area since we are calculating for area. The print area. So run our code, and we're going to get the area of that rectangle. So this is a way we can actually calculate, do some basic arithmetic with Python. We can, the reason why the reason why it's good to have a variable, it's good to have this outline is that we can come and change the values of L, we can come and change the values of H. So the basic thing is that we are also going to learn how to get input from users before the end of this meetup. We're going to learn how to get input from users, and so that anytime anybody can enter any value and you still calculate your and give you your results. So this is just a basic way of showing us how we could use Python to do basic arithmetic. So there are several things we could use. So let's do a little bit of Boolean. Let's do a little bit of Boolean. Let's say 5 is greater than 10. 5 is greater than 10. Let's see the output. Of course, it's going to be false because 5 is not greater than 10. So in Boolean, you only have two outputs, false, true or false. So we can say, okay, 6, this is the equal to sign, 6 equals to 6. Run, of course, it will give us true. We can say area, we already know area is 200. We already know area is 200. We can come here and say, area is greater than, is equal to 300. Definitely is going to be false because our area here is 300. So this is our equal to in Python. So we'll be using more of that when we do our projects. Okay. Someone said they joined late and wanting to know which ID is this. So this is Colab. The link, I dropped the link. Let me just drop the link again. Colab research.google.com. So you can use that. I'm using it just for us so we can have our code run and see output immediately. So the next thing we're going to do is see how we could put all this together. We could see how then put all this together. So we're going to see how we could accept input from users. I think I should go through that so that we have enough time to do our project. We should want to learn how to get input from users. So I say we're going to create a program in this meetup that would help us select the winner of our JetBrain coupon. So we're going to do the program. So to accept input from users, we use, of course, just as the name connotes, inputs. So we have input, then you want the question you want, okay, let's say what you want to ask because if you say input, that means you're requesting an input, you're requesting something from the user, probably your username, your name, your password, your location. So this text I'm going to add is what's going to tell the user what to do. So if I say, okay, enter your name, I say enter your name. If I run this code, it's going to bring out a prompt. So my name is Ayo. I click and I enter, the result is going to come up. And this is because we are using Colab. If you're using your VS Code or you need to run this, if you run this, it will only probably return and probably not display your results until you print it. So we can have, so after accepting the input from a user, I can say print. Okay, so before we print, we need to assign the input collected from the user. We need to assign it to a variable. So we can say name. Let's say we are definitely asking for name. We can assign the name that will be collected to the input. So we say name equals to input, enter your name. So we are saying we want the user to input their name. And the name that will be imputed will be assigned to a variable called name. So print, after imputing the name, you can say print welcome. Sorry, I have to put that in a string. Print welcome. Welcome, then space, plus in programming in Python is used for concatenation, to join two strings together, to join two results together is known as concatenation. So what we want to do here, we want our result to be a joining of the string welcome and the name that will be imputed from the user. So our program says print welcome plus the name that will be imputed from the user. So we can enter, and once we have our name, Ayodeji, once we request the user imputes the name, enter, and click on enter. It says, welcome Ayodeji. So this is an interactive way you can build interactive program with your user. My method in doing this sort of thing, I don't use concatenation most times. I use what we know as formatting. We're going to see the same result using the format method. So for the format method, all I just need to do is add F, just add F here before the string. Then I don't need to put this outside. So I can say welcome, then I add name in curly braces. So this will actually give us the same results. But I prefer using this because it's much easier than using plus and adding string together. This will give us the same output. If I say name equals to input and the input the user enters, okay, let me make this better. I'm going to add a new line. I'm going to add a new line so that the user can enter those details in a new line. So if I run this code, I'm going to say, okay, sorry, an error here. Oh, okay. We forgot to add our closing quotes. So a quote, no, before starting, I say you run into errors. Whether you're a pro, you're a learner, anytime you code, your life is running into errors. So, okay, so because we forgot to add our quotes, we run into an error. So we can see here the syntax, the Python will give you exactly what's wrong. So you need to just listen to it at that point. So now let's try the code again. We can see enter your name, and I say Ayo. The next thing is welcome Ayo. So what it did here is it picked the results, it picked the name from the variable and printed it out. So we'll use this to build an interactive program starting about now. Okay. For now, nobody has a question, so that means I can go on. So those are the basic operations you can use with Python. We can go on and on to explore what Python can do, but because of time, we're just going to go directly into the project. So as we're doing the project, you'll be learning more of what you can do with Python. So I'm going to, before we go on, to understand the next concept, we're going to build a basic calculator. We're going to build a basic calculator with Python. So, when you're calculating something, of course, you need values. Okay, since we are building a basic calculator, we're not going to build something complicated. For example, we want to build a calculator that adds up numbers. So basic arithmetic that adds up two numbers supplied by the user. So we're going to have, of course, the first number, the second number, then the results. So to get the first input, of course, you need to assign a variable to the first input. Let's call our first input number 1. Let's say number 1 equals to, okay, when it comes to naming variables, you can name your variable anything you want, but when it comes to programming, you just have to be explicit as possible. Let people understand what a variable is standing for, what a variable is storing. For example, if you have a store and you have a carton that has your socks and you give it a name of shorts, you get people confused because though the content is socks, but the label says shorts. So we get people confused. So when you're naming your variable, make sure it's something okay that is understandable. People can just read and say, okay, this is what you're trying to store in it. So though the computer doesn't care what you name your variable, but just make sure at least for human sake. So now, and again, one thing to know when naming a variable is you cannot start with a number. You cannot start with a number. give you an error. So you can start with a letter. So, but you can have number in between. So for example, I'm using number and one. So it's very, very okay. But you cannot start one at the beginning. So make sure you note that. Then number one, okay, we are building. This is a task. Okay, we are building a basic calculator. We are building a basic calculator. Um, add a text. So the usefulness of your collab is you can actually add a text instead of comments. This collab is used mostly for data analysis, for machine learning and data analysis. What it's also used for running our basic Python. So we're going to be building a basic calculator. Basic calculator. We're building a basic calculator here. So the first input, number equals to number one equals to, that's the inputs from the user. Want to get an input from the user. So, and the text, the prompt we want to show the user is first number. Enter, okay, let's say enter first number. Enter first number, and we want it to be in a new line. So this way you give a new line in Python. So let me check if I have questions before I continue. Don't hesitate to ask, okay, what's the function of the f in the print statement? Okay, the f function is to format. Okay, instead of using concatenation whereby you join string and that together, the f function is format. The f function is used to format your result. So instead of using plus this, use your f format. So I showed you first example. I think you're just joining. I showed the first example where we concatenate two a string and a value together. It's acceptable, but personally, I prefer using the format. So you can just have your Python code in one straight line without having to plus, 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 plus. Because when you're plusing sometimes, you cannot plus string and int together. You have to convert the int. So those stress of doing all that, that's why I prefer using the format. So the format is a format. So just look at the code. So the curly braces is to wrap whatever you want it to whatever you want to be different in your line of code. The curly braces is to wrap whatever you want a variable or something you want to print that is probably not a string, but you want to literally print it, either a value, a variable, or anything you want to print. So if you still have more questions, you can ask. So we are back to our program using our basic calculator. So once you get the second value, number two, let's give it number two, and input, say input, enter. So let us say enter second number, or let's not speak much English, just second number. Have to be fast. Second number. So once you say second number, then we want to have a line break, so the user can input it below. So number one, input first number. Number two, that's the second variable, input second number. Then results. Let's assign a variable for results. So result is going to be number one plus number two. number 1 plus number 2. So that's going to be our result. So we want after this, you want to print results to be used, print result for the user to see. Okay, so we can. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to use the format here. So now F, and we want to write a string. We want to write a string and say your result is let's have this. So instead of using plus as a concatenation, using plus for concatenation, we can just have our curly braces and insert our results. As you pick it literally as a variable, and insert it in between the curly braces. So this would achieve, when we run our code using Shift Enter, you can see the first prompt is enter first number. Let's say I enter 45, and I enter second number 65, or let me say, okay, 34. So your results, okay, this is what I want to pull out. You can see from your result, you are getting 4534. But 45 plus 34 is definitely not 4,534. The problem here is that, you know, when you're using an input, when you use the input function, it's by default is thinking or is assuming by default that you're sending in a string. Okay, so for this to work as a calculator should work, we need to convert our input, convert to string, and convert to integer, because this our calculator right now is literally taking the numbers as string. So we need to convert our results to integer before printing. So how do we do that? We're going to say after our two variables, we're going to convert result equals to int. So we're going to have converted to int results. So this is how you convert your result to an integer. And once you've done this, you can now run your code again. So going to the same process, 45 was my second number. Okay, final chord. I think my second number was 35. Yes. Sorry, I'm still getting the same. Oh, sorry, we're supposed to add it. Going. Oh, sorry. What we are converting is our number. We're supposed to convert our number, not. We are cutting this away from this place. And so after accepting our number one, we're now going to convert the number one to int. So what we are converting is the numbers, number one. So you do this for the second input. We're going to convert the second input also. We're going to convert it to int. Let's convert it to int number two. So we have int number one, we have int number two. So our inputs has been converted to integer. So let's run. Let's run again and see if we have the expected calculator. Say 4, 5, 3, 5. Okay, awesome. So now we have our calculator the way it should be. Okay, so if you are in this level with speed, that means you've created the basic calculator. So if you've done that, I would like it to signify. Let me see that you're following. Okay, Laura has done that. I want to see more people, at least 3 people, and let's know if I'm actually carrying everybody along. Okay, you're asking why we need to convert to int. Okay, I said when you have inputs when you have something. Okay, yes, Simon said is working over there. When you have an input, by default, um, Python regards it as a string. So your input is graded as a string by default. So we need to convert it to the int before it can do the basic arithmetic. Okay. So let's quickly build our program. Let's start our program that would pick the results. So I'm sure you're going to also learn more from that. Okay, so we're going to build that now. I'm going to be fast because we're running out of time already. So the first thing we need to do, because the program, let me explain the code, the program we want to build here. We want to build um, a program that would help us pick a winner through random selection. A program that would help us to pick a winner through random selection. That's what we are going to build here. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, I say in Python, we have so many packages. We have so many packages in Python. So we're going to import one package into our Python here by using the import random. So random is that's going to help us, select, help us going to select the users based on random selection. So we're going to import the package random. So write that import random. So understanding our project more, we want to select winners, some people, select some numbers of people. So if you're actually going to enter the competition by dropping your number, or let me do it this way. I'm going to pick numbers. Okay. All right. So just pick your numbers from 1 to 10. We're 13 here. From 1 to 13. Just pick your number, drop your number on the chat. If you're dropping your number, that means you're entering yourself into the competition to win the coupon. And this is also for fun. Even if you're not interested in the coupon, just let's do it for fun. So I have 7, I have 4, I have 2. So if someone has picked a number, just pick someone else, another number. So we are looking from 1 to 13. I have 7, I have 4, I have 5, I have 2. So I'm just going to go straight to the program. continue. So while you drop your numbers, I'm going to, so I know I'm actually going from 1 to 13. So let's go back to the program. So we're going to import the package random. So the next thing we need to do is what we are collecting from the user. Okay, I want us to collect the name because this is going to be like a program that we can actually upload online and to work as a program. So we're going to get the person's name and say welcome to the person's name. We've done that before. And we're also going to print some instructions. So first thing we're going to do is the name. We're going to get the name. Name equals to input. Input. Enter your name. Enter your name. Of course, as usual. Okay, sorry, I have to put it in a string. Don't forget to always use your string, double quotes, and there will be an error. Enter your name. And I want to have a new line. So once the user enters the name, then it should print welcome. I'm going to use the format again. Print welcome. Then the name. So I'm going to remember to always wrap it in your curly braces. Print name. Then exclamation. Welcome. So person. Depends on the input. So the next thing we want to do is I want to print some instructions. Let me see if I can get the text out. I want to print some instructions. So once the user inputs the name, then the next thing is I want a program to print an instruction and say if here we don't need to add the format because we're just printing basic string. So I'm built to help you. Okay, I'm built to help you. Let's say select a winner. Select a winner to help you select a winner through random process. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is after getting after printing that instruction, then we can now say, okay, proceed. Okay, in normal programming, you can say, okay, once you've got given your instruction, the next thing is okay to proceed and press enter. We're going to do something like that. Let's give our variable proceed and say equals to input. Want to get an enter input. And say input in bracket. Let's use the format. Okay, let's just use the normal. Input. And let's have something like to proceed. Enter. Enter in quotes. Proceed, hit enter. So once the user gets this prompt, you use the enter key. Then next, what we want to do after hitting enter, what next? So the next we want to do is we want to since you're trying to pick a winner from a certain number of people, so first of all, what I did first, I got the number of people we are trying to work with, and which is 13. So, but it's not always going to be 13. So, but how do we do it that the user provides the number of choices for us? No, okay, assuming I don't know the number of people I'm going to iterate in between, I just want to collect the input from the user to know how many choices. What we are trying to do here is trying to help the users, you know, pick choices from a list of items. So now we're talking about users. I want to pick a winner from the current attendees of this event. So I can say, okay, I want to get an input from the user that will tell me the number of people I'm going to be picking from. So let's give it a variable length of list. Okay, length of list or length of attendees, number of attendees, anything you want to give it. So I'm going to give my length of list. So we have length of lists. Sorry, length underscore of lists equals to then inputs. Really out of time. Just want us to complete this. Inputs. So our prompt should be enter total number of lists of attendees. This is that. So total number of attendees. So remember, I can also use new line to make our work better. I can add a new line here. Enter, then add a new line here. So the user can always impute under. So we have this length of lists, inputs, enter total number of attendees. So we are expecting an input from this. So, but remember from our previous challenge with input, it's going to regard it as int, as a string. So for us, we need to now convert it, the input that will be gotten from the user, we need to convert it to literal integer. So let's do that. So let's convert our length of list let's convert it to an integer, int, length of list. So by doing this, we've been able to convert length of list equals to int length of list. So at this level, I know how Python runs is that it runs from top to bottom. So we are rest assured that it's going to run from the top all through to the bottom. So since we've converted it here, it's going to give us the results we want. So length of list has been converted here. So the next thing, of course, is to use the import rule. So for us to make use of our random package that we imported, we're going to use we're going to now say random winner. We're going to give a variable random winner, random underscore winner equals to, we're going to have it as random dot rand int, random dot rand int. So now rand int, what this program is actually going to do is it's going to select at random. It's going to pick up a number at random from a list that will be defined by you. So since we know we are working with 13, okay, let's assume we don't know we are working with 13. Want to impute that value from user. let's say we have, so the first thing you need to do is the starting point. In programming, a number system starts from 0 in programming. So if you say the first position is 0, is value 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. So if you have 4 items, the first position is 0, the second one is 1. So we don't want to give us a result of 0, of course, because nobody will be having 0 as a number. So we want you to start from 1, then comma, to end where? Now, the total now is what we are looking at. So if you're trying to do a random pick in between 1 and 13, the end will be 14 because it's not going to pick 14 in the iteration. It's not going to pick 14. So any number you pick as the end is not going to be part of the iteration. So make sure if you're trying to iterate between 1 and, let's say, 20, make sure you put 21. All right. So we have 1 and 14. That's for that's the iteration we're going to use. So now the last code line of code we're going to add is the print statement. So once the okay, let's make it more fun and say print loading, for you to have that feel of running process, you can say print loading. We can have a string here of loading and give a dot 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 dot, just normal easy of program loading. You can have this maybe 5 line or 3 line. That's a print loading. And probably this one has more dots. Let's say print loading again. Just to give us a feel. Well, actually, these things can actually be programmed, especially when you talk about percentage and all that. But we're just trying to build a basic Python, because this actually can be programmed whereby every level will be indicated by the post by the every loading process will be indicated by the level of accomplishment. So if you are like percentage, like all that can be programmed, but these we're trying to just build a feel of a program is running. So we have now our results. So we want you to print the result to the user. So we can say print the winner is as a string. Okay, let me use the format. Print the winner is user, or let's say user, then number. So now, remember we're using the format system, so we can just put random winner. We assign random winner as our value. So we can say random winner as our value. So with this code, if you run this code, of course, it's going to take you through the process of picking our winner. So if you've been following, okay, Laura said we should not worry about time. Okay, but we have to. All right. Okay. Okay. Typing error, learn. Okay, sorry. Thank you for seeing that. Name, I'm seeing some name. Oh, okay. Length. Thank you for pointing that out. Length. We have name, we have prints, we have, so I'm trying to check before we run our code. Imports, name, Print. Okay. Length of lists. Okay. Trying to go through our code before we finally run it to avoid error. But error cannot be avoided totally. But let's try. Okay, I'm actually getting an error actually. Print F, the winner is, oh, yeah, I can see my error. I tried to be very careful, but still, you cannot run away from this error. Okay, I fixed. So actually what I did here to debug my code was I went to read the error statement, and the error statement was print this is expecting the second close of the curly braces. That's what I missed out. And that's why our code refused to run. Let's try again. I hope we won't have another error. So, okay, our program seems to be working. So we're going to pick the winner right now from the numbers we have. Okay, I'm going to iterate. I don't see any number above 10 here. So I'm going to iterate between 10. So I'm seeing 7, I'm seeing 4, 5, 2, 1, 8. Seems the rest doesn't want the, I don't want the, what's, I just say for fun, we'll impute a number. So I'm going to iterate between 1 and I don't want it to pick anything outside of our value. So I'm going to iterate between, the highest value here is 8. I'm going to iterate between 1 and 9. Let's see that in action. So enter your name. That's what my program is telling me now. So let me enter the user, Ayo. So welcome, Ayo. I am built to help you select a winner through random process to proceed. Hit enter. I've done that. Enter total number of attendees. Okay, I'm using 9. I'm using 9 because I'm not seeing any number higher than 9. So I'm entering 9. So once I hit enter, the winner will be selected by our program. We ready? I guess you're ready. So let's see that. Oh, our winner is 10. I don't have 10 on this list. Okay. We don't have 10 on this list. That's serious. What number did I enter? Okay. I don't think it's converted. Random winner. I think I did that. Converted it. Oh, okay. Sorry. I added what I'm supposed to do. This is the error. What I'm supposed to do is the first starting from 1, then the ending, I'm supposed to put the variables for length of lists so that it will correlate with the input of the user. I don't know if you guys understand. I used 1 to start where it's supposed to start from. Then the second where it's supposed to end is the input supposed to be the input from the user, which in this case is 9. I imputed 9. So that was the error. So let's try our program again. Our program gave us 10, but we don't have a 10. So let's try again. So we have name. Okay, hit enter. Number of attendees is 9. See. Number 1. Who is number 1? Oluwakayode Olatunji. Awesome. So congratulations, number one. You're a winner of JetBrains coupon. So awesome. So just send us a message, a DM on Twitter at Codecademy Abuja. Get your coupon sent to you. Send us an email. Academy Abuja. Get your coupon sent to you. Congratulations. So the essence of this is just for us to have a feel of what Python can do, and I'm happy you're able to achieve that and get, of course, see how in the real world how we can use Python. There's so many things we could do, but time, you just have to end here. So for those that attended, I'll be uploading the slide and the code to our GitHub repo. So I'm going to send that to everyone that attended, so you can have it on GitHub.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ayo, for that wonderful section. I believe everyone who participated or who waited up until this end must have learned one thing or the other from the event. Thank you, and I would like to say thank you also to those who stayed up till the end. You guys are welcome once again, and hope you learned one or two things from the event also. You're welcome. Thanks for joining the event. We look forward to having more events and having you guys with us also. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everyone. That'll be all for today. Thank you, and we might have a part two of this